Hey guys, William Mayette, creator of JAZZEDGE. Welcome to the Confident Improviser Podcast. This is episode number 43, and today we are talking about advanced improvisation using quartals over our dominant seventh chords. All right, so what I was just playing was an example of how we can utilize these quartals in our playing. So let's dive into what exactly a quartal is. So basically all that a quartal is, it is a stacked fourth. So if I start on a note C, and I go up a perfect fourth to F, and I go up a perfect fourth to B flat, that is my quartal, all right? Some people might call them fourth voicings, some people might call them fourths, I call them quartals, all right? So you might hear it different terminology depending on the player. So basically all it is two stacked perfect fourths on top of one another. So C to F, F to B flat. All right, and then from there, we can just move up by half steps. C sharp, F sharp, B, D, G, C, E flat, A flat, D flat, and so on and so forth, all the way up the keyboard. Now, there are only 12 of them because they start on each chromatic note, all right? And there's only 12 chromatic notes, all right? So now, when I'm thinking about forming the quartal, I think most often bottom up. So here, this is starting on C. So like if the chord was a C7 chord, I would be thinking about starting the quartal on the root, right? C, right? If I build the quartal on D, I'm thinking building it on the ninth. Again, speaking about a C7 chord. If I'm building it on E, that's the third of the chord, I would consider building it on the third. So in other words, I think bottom up versus top down. It really depends on what makes most sense to you. If you want to think, oh, okay, top down is easier for you, fine. I personally think bottom up is a little bit easier. All right, so anyway, those are your quartals, right? So now, something to understand is that when we are playing our C dominant seventh chord, let's just play a simple root 3-7 in the left hand here. So C, E, and B flat. So when I'm playing these quartals in the right hand, each of the notes of the quartal is going to function on that dominant seventh chord in a certain way, all right? When I say function, I mean, is it going to be the root of the chord, the third, the fifth, or is it going to be some kind of a tension? Let's take the first quartal here, built on C. Well, the C is the root, F is the 11th, B flat is the flat 7. So immediately right off the bat, okay, maybe that 11th there is going to be a little bit too tense. When I go up to the next one, C sharp is flat 9, F sharp is sharp 11, B is your major 7th. Again, so that's meaning to say that not every quartal is going to sound great on the dominant 7th chord, but here's the rub, and this is what's really important. As long as you're not playing, that quartal along with the C dominant chord in the left hand, it's going to sound fine. If I did this for improvisation, so if I did something like that, so you see I'm starting on C, F, B flat, C sharp, F sharp, B, and then I resolve it to the C. Now obviously listen to what happens if I resolve it on B natural, right? Right? That sounds a little too tense there, okay? So the tension that is created by the quartals, you need to resolve it. Now the beauty is that many of the quartals resolve quite nicely on a dominant 7th chord. Let's go through the ones that really work well. Building on the 9 works great. Building on the sharp 9 works great. Building on the 3rd works great. On the 11th, not so much. On the sharp 4, not so much. On the 5th, not so much. On the flat 13, works great. On the 13th, works great as well. On the flat 7, sure, you could do that as well. On the major 7th, obviously not so great. All right? So the 9, the sharp 9, the 3rd, right? That's great. The 13th, the flat 7th, that's great. And then also you could do flat 13 as well. Right? The ones I really like, if you want the ones that are going to sound nice with the dominant chord and not going to sound too tense, build it on the 9th, build it on the 3rd, build it on the 13th. Okay, if you want the ones that are a little bit more tense, the one on the sharp 9, that's really good. The flat 13, the flat 7. All right, so now take a listen to this. Here I have this sample lick here, all right? And what I'm doing here is I'm starting on the 9th of the chord, so I'm thinking of this right here. This is one quartal, all right? here's another quartal, and then here's your last quartal, and then this resolves down to the fifth. Right? So I'll take a listen to what happens when I play this. Let's see if I'm able to get over here and play this with the band here. All right, and then what I'm going to do is, this is on a funk right now. I'm going to put it on a medium swing, okay? And this will be at 120 beats per minute. Let's see what that sounds like. So a great sound. Now the reason you use this sound is not only do you get that advanced kind of outside playing, but since it's built in fourths like that, the sound sounds very kind of symmetrical. It's always moving by a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, except for when you, there, down a half step, right? But those fourths give you that nice, open, modern sound, right? So again, the notes here, if you happen to be listening, it's in the left hand, I'm playing my C7 chord voicing, just my basic rootless chord voicing, E, A, B flat, and D. In the right hand, I'm building a quartal on the E, a quartal on the E flat, and a quartal on the D. I'm starting with my pinky, so it's D, A, E, C sharp, G sharp, E flat. Then I slide down with my thumb, D, G, C, G. Right? Really, really, really neat sound. Okay? So again, let's play it with the band. You try just moving down. Right? So you see how I kind of I can move down it. It's a great exercise. One thing I like to practice is just kind of moving down those quartals like that and really kind of getting that underneath my fingertips, nice and loose. All right, so if you're looking for a nice exercise to practice, that would be good. All right, so let's move on to exercise, or example number 2, rather. All right. Oops, sorry. That's it. So here you can see that the quartal is kind of built in here. It's baked in, right? But you'll notice that the rhythm changes. The rhythm of the quartal is changing in the middle of the quartal. So I start with an eighth note, and then the C, which is the second note of the quartal, is the first of a triplet, of an eighth note triplet, right? So it's eighth note, triplet, and I'm getting this nice little half-step approach right in here, right? So that half-step approach, the E flat up to the E natural, right? So the notes here, G, C, F, D sharp or E flat, however you want to think about it, and then going up to the E natural, and then to the C. So again, it's that real nice open sound, and it's a great springboard for your improvisation. Let's bump this up a little bit. Let's go up to 160 for our tempo. Oops. So you can hear how I'm bringing those quartals in, and it really creates a super hip sound. All right, so let's slow this down again. We'll go back to 100, play it a couple of times just to make sure you got it. Again, These are things that you can bring into your improvisation. You don't have to use quartals throughout your entire improvisation, but it's just a great way of creating some advanced sounds. Here's another one. I'm sorry. Ba triple D ba D ba. See, I'm resolving down to the flat 7 here at the very end. So it's C G D. So there's your quartal built on a 9th. Ba triplet, and then I come up to the F. Actually, you know what? I'm playing this as an F sharp. I kind of like it better as the F sharp. You can do it as the G sharp. Let me do it as the G sharp. Whoops. I wrote in G sharp, but I naturally played F sharp because I knew that that would sound good. So you could kind of do either one, right? So here's with the F sharp, ba triple. Kind of like that sharp 11 sound. So that example would be C, G, D, F sharp, and then A, G, E, C, B flat. Or the example that's written here, C, G, D, G sharp, A, G, E, C, B flat. So you can pick whichever one you like, okay? All right, so now what we can do is, let me make this a little bit smaller. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play all 3 of them back to back, okay? Here we go. That's with the F sharp, here's with the G sharp. Going back through them again. Number 1. Number 2. Twice. Number 3. Number 3 again. Free form. Again, quartals. That is the sound that we're dealing with here today, are these different quartals. Okay, so if you like what you're listening to, you can also watch this lesson as well. If you go back to my YouTube channel, just do a search for the word JAZZEDGE, or just go to youtube.com/JAZZEDGE, and then you will be able to get right to my channel. Also, be sure to check out my daily dose of jazz piano on the internet. JazzPianoDaily.com. JazzPianoDaily.com. You can go ahead right back there. You can get a bunch of sheet music, get a bunch of lessons. All right, so check out JazzPianoDaily.com. And I also have a bunch of those lessons on YouTube as well. All right, so anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next podcast episode.